Hey everybody, it's Emily, the Crazy Worm Lady. I'm here today with our experimental worm bins. And as you can see, some of our bell peppers have sprouted. I've not yet checked to see if this is the whole scrap or the blended scrap bin. Hopefully we'll be able to tell here in just a minute. So this is where our apples were. So I'm going to dig down here and see what we find. I was working in another bin, that's why there's a little eggshell on my hand there. I'm believing that this must have been the blended because there is not any sign at all of anything being left over here. So that means that on this side, wow, check that out. On this side down here would have been our frozen blended, and up here would have been our unfrozen blended. So, I mean, check that out, guys. That's crazy. They say that, you know, the vermicompost is pretty potent stuff, but sometimes you have to see it to believe it. So, we got worms underneath. Nothing but remnants here in the bottom. I mean, how incredible is that? I mean, we have nothing at all left in here. So we're going to move this to the right side here for our next feeding. And I'm just going to turn some of this up into the bedding. Remnants of the stem. The sprouts will break down again and it'll actually be another food source for the worms. So I'm just going to leave that be. What's interesting, however, is I didn't see any sprouts coming, well, there's one, coming up from what was our frozen. And I'm thinking that is because when you freeze, it breaks down the cell walls, and in certain plants that can make their seeds kind of useless. Some it'll help germinate and others not so much. So this was our frozen. And I mean, they demolished it. So I'm not really seeing much of anything left in this bin at all. So, I'm really just going to spread these sprouts out so they'll break back down for us. But I'm really impressed with how quickly they're going through the food. I am a few days late on my update, but I still thought there would be enough food for them. But apparently I was wrong. So I'm going to set these tins over here because we will be getting this fed up in just a few minutes here. So let's pop over to the whole scrap bin. Okay guys, so this is the whole scrap bin, and look at that. Our apples are still not broken down in here. You know, the apples, the first week in the blended took a little bit longer, but they were still just about done. But if you see, this is the frozen apple down here. And this one is more processed than the unfrozen. So I'll bury this back up, hoping our bell peppers did better. I don't want to overload this bin with food if it can't handle it. So let's just see, and then we'll take it from there. So this would have been the frozen whole bell pepper. They're all throughout this, and actually this is nearly broken down. Not completely, but better than those apples are faring, that's for sure. Okay, and then down here should be our unfrozen bell pepper. And actually, I feel like this one they're doing better on, which is interesting. I'm gonna try to bring this up to the light for you guys. I mean, look at that. So maybe in the case of bell peppers, freezing doesn't really matter, because these guys are doing just fine. So I am pleased that they got into the bell peppers a little bit better. I feel more comfortable feeding this bin, knowing that I'm not going to be overfeeding, because they are working through some of it. But it does make us think a little bit more about how much these guys can handle frozen versus unfrozen. I think it, you know, the freezing aspect as well as the blending aspect both play a big role in making this process much quicker. So if, say, you're short on food, the whole scraps may be a better bet because they take longer, and unfrozen would take even longer than that. But if you've got excess scraps and you want your worms to process them a bit faster, maybe the whole, you know, blended frozen would be your best bet. So I think we're going to end up feeding in this middle section since there is food on either end, and we want to kind of isolate what we have. So let me go grab up, I have some bananas today. We will feed this bin as well as the blended bin, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, so I have this banana here was frozen. I thawed it and it actually started to even grow a little bit of mold on me. I just started thawing it yesterday too. This is a whole banana cut in half. So both of these are not identical sizes, but I did use the alternate halves for the blending as well. So it should still be relatively accurate. Like I said before, I'm not running this experiment quite as, you know, scientific as some of my other ones, but still doing my best to make it relatively equal. So I'm just gonna put some bedding around here. And let me get some eggshell. Sprinkle that crushed eggshell. And then we will just bury this back up with the existing material in here. And hopefully by next week we will have even more action than today. I want to make sure this apple over here is covered. And then I will just lay my rags back across the bottom. And I kept my dowel down here to mark that this is the blended. Unblended. See, I'm going to keep doing this the whole time. This is the frozen side. Probably by the last week of the experiment I will finally get my words straight. Okay, so let's quickly hop over to the other bin. We will get that one fed up as well. Alright guys, so I honestly was being lazy, didn't feel like getting my blender out, so I just chopped these up finally. But it still gives us the whole larger surface area. We have our frozen and our unfrozen. Give a little sprinkling of eggshell and some bedding. And hopefully we will continue with our kind of parallel results that were pretty obvious to me so far. Again, it's still relatively early, but relatively speaking, it's been pretty much obvious to me that the blending makes a huge difference. So, have my dowel to mark the frozen, and this is our blended bin. I hope if I mixed my words up today, you got the gist of it anyway. But I wanted to bring you guys this update today. Sorry it was a little bit long. I can be a bit wordy at times, but I'm super impressed and I can't wait to bring you guys another update next week. So drop your comments below. Please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you'd like some more content from me, and I'll be back with you guys soon for some updates.